Spring has most definitely sprung over here in Melbourne, Australia, and recently I did a video for you guys where I did a bit of a Mr. Francy BookTube poll asking you if you would like to see me do more book tags, and you guys came back rather overwhelmingly saying yes. So I thought, what an adequate time to do another one. Today we are doing the Put a Spring in Your Step book tag. So let's get right on to the prompts. Prompt number 1, how do you decorate your bookshelves? My answer, my own confessional answer is not very well. So I have tried certain things in the past, like recently I decided to put some flowers into my bookshelves. That didn't go down so well, unfortunately. I do have some trinkets on certain shelves, but you can't really see them. Like, I have a ring here. That's nice that I've put where my classics are, but you can't really see. Oh, you can see some flowers here. Well, kind of. But again, they're so far away they're hard to see. But I actually have this nice little dagger thing that I received when my grandfather passed away. It's really, really beautiful. I like to have this on my fantasy, with my fantasy books because, you know, it looks very fantasy-like to me. Yeah, I like to have ease of access to get to my books, and I find if I have a lot of things cluttering the front of it, then I would have to move them to take the books out. So, and I do a lot of videos where I need to take the books out to show you guys, so, you know, that wouldn't work for me. But in any case, I feel like it would be too cluttered for me. So my answer, this was a very long answer to this prompt, but my answer is, how do I decorate it? By hardly putting anything in it at all. Prompt number 2. Recommend some books with beautiful descriptions of nature. The Secret Garden by Frances Hodgson Burnett. Obviously, the title of the book suggests that we are going to be dealing with a garden, and we do, but the descriptions of the flora and the fauna is just so beautiful in this book. The garden itself is beautiful. The land of Misselthwaite Manor, where our protagonist Mary stays, the moor is just gorgeous, so lush and green, and the animals are just described so beautifully as well. So if you're looking for something very naturistic, I highly recommend The Secret Garden. This was just an absolutely beautiful, beautiful read. Prompt number 3 is show us a book with a beautiful cover, and the most gorgeous edition of any book that I own would have to be The Lost Apothecary. I have always loved this image. I first saw this image when I was doing my December video of most anticipated new releases for 2021, and I went a-hunting for this book, and every single bookstore I went to in my state, in my country, could not access this edition. And so I said to them, no, that's okay, I won't get it. I was strong in my convictions because I wanted this edition. It is so gorgeous. The potion bottle on this cover is just beautiful. The purple background is gorgeous. I love the lettering as well of The Lost Apothecary. Sarah Penner's name in the gold. The flowers bordering the potion bottle. This whole cover is just insanely gorgeous. Prompt number 4. Spring is all about new starts, so it's the perfect time to start a new series. What would you recommend? Are you serious? I mean, picking one is going to be tough. I'm probably going to pick a few. So I have a couple of middle grade series to start us off with. For horror, I recommend Goosebumps. So if you've never read horror before, the Goosebumps series is a great way to go. There is enough horror for it to definitely be considered a horror, but at the same time, it's children's level of horror. So, you know, great place to start. Plus, they're quick reads. So if you're looking to get deep into a series really quickly, it's a good way to go. For sci-fi, I'm recommending for middle grade Animorphs. The Animorphs series is a whole lot of fun. These kids can morph into animals while they're trying to defeat this alien race that's trying to take over the world, and I just think it's a great entry point into sci-fi. A lot of adult sci-fis come with a lot of tough terminology to learn if you haven't read sci-fi before, so it's a great way to start, and also, again, short books, so you can get through them pretty quickly. For For something a little bit longer, for middle grade fantasy, I can't go past the Nevermore series by Jessica Townsend. This has just been incredible. If you are experiencing a book hangover from the Harry Potter series, this is where you turn your attention to next. This is just absolutely fantastic. 3 books have been released so far. Get through them, and then next year she's releasing her 4th one, but they've all been amazing so far, so highly recommend. Scythe, the Arc of a Scythe series, more specifically by Neil Shusterman. There are 3 books in this series. Books 1 and 2 I enjoyed. Book 3 let me down a little bit, but I don't think that should let you dissuade that. I don't think that should dissuade you from picking up this series, because this is a series that revolves around these children that are taken on as apprentices by a scythe in a world where death literally has ceased to exist, and so it is the job of scythes to ensure that people still die. And so it's fantastic, and it's done in a YA way, so highly recommend. And there's no opportunity that I won't miss when I'm being asked to recommend a series, and I would be remiss if I missed out on mentioning this one. And so the final series I recommend is the Mistborn Era 1 series by Brandon Sanderson. This is The Final Empire, book number 1. There are 3 books in Era 1. There are 3 books in Era 2 so far. I'm specifically recommending Era 1. This is an adult fantasy series, and it's just really well done. The magic system revolves around ingesting metals, and there's certain things that these metals can do. Brandon Sanderson's just fantastic. He is the king of fantasy, in my opinion. So I recommend all of these. Prompt number 5. It's almost time to start reading outside. Have you been brave enough yet? No way, no how. I mean, it's not my fault, but also I really rarely read outside unless I'm reading during work breaks. Then I'll read outside. But yeah, I seldom do it anyway, but with spring so far in Melbourne, Australia, we've had 1 or 2 nice days here or there, and the rest have been overcast, windy, rain, hail. I ain't reading out in that mess. Prompt number 6, spring cleaning. Which books are you unhauling? The problem with this prompt is that I normally do a mass book unhauling at the beginning of every new year, not at the beginning of every season. So I can't quite tell you what I'm unhauling in spring because I'm not unhauling anything in spring. But I can give you a preview as to some of the books that I'm going to unhaul at the end of the year for sure, because these are books that I've DNF'd. So all the books that I DNF, I hang on to them until the end of the year when I do my all the books I DNF'd to that year video. Then once I've done that one, I put them into the to leave pile. And then I do my massive book unhauling. But some of them include Foul is Fair by Hannah Kappen. This is an ARC copy, by the way. Princess Ben by Catherine Gilbert Murdoch. House of Earth and Blood by Sarah J. Maas, just wasn't for me. The Blade Itself by Joe Abercrombie. Wicked by Gregory Maguire with the green sprayed edges, unfortunately. The Year the Maps Changed by Danielle Binks. My Only Sunshine by Rowan McAllister. The Bone Shard Daughter by Andrea Stewart. Very sadly, The Echo Wife by Sarah Gailey. I don't know if I'm going to hang on to this, so I'll see. And sadly, Piranesi by Susanna Clark. This is an ARC copy. So those ones I will get rid of, but I don't do book unhaulings until the beginning of the new year. And finally, prompt number 7, which books are you going to replace them with? Well, obviously, since I'm not unhauling my books until my mass unhaul at the beginning of next year, I don't know what I'm going to replace them with, but here is a list of books from differing genres that I would like to replace them with early on to read at some point early on next year. So, for a classic, I want to replace it with And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie. For a middle grade, Midnight for Charlie Bone by Jenny Nimmo. For a romance, Confessions of a Shopaholic by Sophie Kinsella. For a thriller/mystery, All the Missing Girls by Megan Miranda. For a contemporary, Call It What You Want by Bridget Kemmerer. For an LGBTIQ+, Camp by Elsie Rosen. For a fantasy, King of the Mist, which is Duel of Fire book number 2 by Jordan Rivett. For a dystopian, Legend by Marie Lu. For a sci-fi, An Absolutely Remarkable Thing by Hank Green. For a horror, Class 5 by Sean Horton. And for a historical fiction, The Angel's Game, which is book number 2 in the Shadow of the Wind series by Carlos Ruiz Zafón. I hope that adequately answers that question. And that brings us to the end of the Put a Spring in Your Step book tag. What a beautiful name for a book tag, by the way. But that is where we are going to leave it. How would you have answered those questions? Let me know in the comments below. But in the meantime, that is where I am going to leave it, letting you guys go with peace, blessings, and so much love. I post videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and I'll see you again soon. Mwah. Good night, and happy reading!